Let's go to the phone lines. Welcome in Tom Murphy into the program this morning. Get his thoughts on baseball, basketball, and a bunch of different things. Tom, let's start with JD Notae. He announces yesterday that he's entered his name in the NBA draft with an agent. Tommy asked me this question earlier, and I'll kind of relay the same thing to you. What do his professional prospects look like, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, good morning, everybody. It's just so much of a class coming out. It's hard to compare him, but I think he'd have to shoot at a higher percentage to be a big-time NBA prospect, and I don't think he's projected in the first two rounds. I mean, maybe late in the second. So maybe making money professionally wherever that is ranks high for JD Notae, and he's been in college for a while. But I think Arkansas fans probably wish that he still had kind of the old college spirit and thought that next year's team was going to be so loaded with these new guys that maybe he could be the veteran team leader again and they could make another good run it back, so to speak. But he probably felt like he'd been in school long enough and he's ready to go make a professional career out of it. And wish him well. I'll tell you this. I can't think of a shooter who's just been more of a unconscious, take any kind of shot at any time guy that they've had, and he made a lot of them, and he missed a few too.
Tom, when you look at that domino that's fallen now, a lot of Arkansas fans are very curious to see what Jalen Williams and Audice Toney are going to do. And I know we talked more about Jalen last week. And Audice of the three hasn't got as much as a spotlight. I think he'd be a great piece if you could have back for next year. What do you think he decides in the next week or month or so?
Yeah, I don't have enough insight to tell you what I think he's going to do. But I think from an Arkansas fan's perspective, and the guys who cover the team, of course, I talk to them, I think they're relatively hopeful that he's going to return. And what I mean by that is that's kind of the gist they get. And I don't know if anybody knows for sure, but what, as Mike Anderson used to say, what a glue guy. That he's a rebounder. He's a guy. Eric Molson himself has said one of the greatest cutters in the game, and it certainly paid out in a lot of different ways for them this year. And I think maybe his offensive role could expand. And of course, he's a big time defensive stopper. So I think he would be a huge guy and a veteran presence to have on the team. And of course, nobody wants to lose Jalen Williams. We can just leave it there, but nobody wants him to be gone.
Tom, the book's balanced right now. You got 13 scholarships, you got 13 players, but I'm of the feeling I don't think they're done with movement on this roster. What's your gut tell you about maybe some future transactions going on with the Arkansas basketball roster?
Well, absolutely. We've got enough data over the last 3 years with Eric Musselman to think something's always going on. If some other stud guy gets in the portal and they have a chance and he fits what they want to do, then they'll probably go after him. I highly doubt that where they sit right now is where things will be when they start practicing in the fall.
The other thing data tells us is there's always movement with the coaching staff. That's one thing we have known over 3 years. Are you hearing any rumblings? Do you think that this might be the year you finally have stability? What's your gut tell you about the coaching staff and what it will look like next year?
Well, enough data to say that something is likely. I really selfishly hope they hold on to Keith Smart. I mean, think about that. They went to LSU, and it was basically a game that turned around their season. And they won the game when they were down almost the whole game. And then right at the end, the last 9 minutes, they put up a defensive wall and hold them down. And that's Keith Smart in his hometown. So I'd like to see him stick around. He's got enough of a resume that he'd be an attractive guy for just about anybody. So I hope he sticks. Don't know if they could lose anybody else. So we'll just see how it plays out.
Tom, I know you probably saw the news on Friday about the branded jerseys that Arkansas is partnering with. That I think it's Branders, how you say it. When you look at just kind of the attractiveness for kids to wear their favorite player's jersey or whatever, if you had to guess, what do you think are going to be some of the more popular jerseys that you'll see at Razorback sporting events in the coming months?
Well, I would think that number one in football would be pretty big. what a remarkable rise and just presence that KJ Jefferson gave the football team. If Traylon Burks was back, 16 would be huge. Hey, Jalen Williams, 10. I think that would sell. In-state kid. So there's going to be a whole lot. I mean, you could go from sport to sport. Caden Wallace, in-state kid, 7 in baseball is a really cool number. Connor Nolan's 13, goes against the grain. Some people don't like to wear it, but Connor Nolan sure does. And now there's a whole swath of cool numbers. And I think Arkansas has done a good job at staying at the very front of the game when it comes to the NIL and the potentials. And it's like a laboratory. You get in there and you can test different things, and it seems like there's an unlimited range of stuff. And the more creative of the schools are going to land prospects. And Arkansas is recruiting well in all the sports right now when you think about it. So I think Arkansas has a unique situation for the NIL and the branding, and they're doing a good job at staying right at the top of the game.
I know Arkansas fans are thrilled with recruiting classes and where they're at right now. Like you just said, credit needs to be credited to the flagship and Terry Prentice and all those guys up there with the NIL program. National championship, Tom, set tonight, Kansas and North Carolina. Tommy and I both have Kansas winning the national championship. Would have loved to have USC in it as well, but I did not predict that. I know that both teams are hot. I think a lot of the money is going to come in on North Carolina tonight. Where's Tom Murphy? How does he think this game's going to end up tonight inside of go ahead.
Yeah, inside the Superdome. Yeah, it's are they playing in the dome next to the Superdome? I'm not really.
No, they're
sure.
playing in they're playing in the big dome. So
yeah, it's the Roy Williams special, right? And I just think Kansas has gone under the radar a little bit. I think sometimes when you're in the middle of the country, you don't quite get the pub. And beating Villanova and beating them pretty handily I thought was a huge. Because Villanova was so hot. And even though North Carolina has all the relative momentum, I think that it's finally going to run out on them, and I think Kansas is going to win. I'm in the boat with you guys, but I would not count out North Carolina. What a crazy wild ride! They got to beat Coach K on Cameron Court on his last game, and then they got to eliminate him in his final game. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, and whether or not in North Carolina's mind they've already won the national title, so to speak, that they won something to them that's bigger than the national title. That was beating Duke in the fashion with what was at stake and Coach K's career coming to a close. I think for a lot of North Carolina fans, I'm not one, so I can't speak for them, but seemingly you'd almost take that victory over your rival versus a national title if given the choice.
Yeah, but man, when you get this close, one game, you get a little bit greedy, and you want it all. And I've got family who are North Carolina fans, and they are just so elated. It's like my Atlanta Braves. I mean, we weren't 500 until August, and then we got hot at the right time. And when you win a national championship or the World Series title, when you were kind of the underdog, it's just such a feeling of elation, especially for a franchise like the Braves that they lost a lot of times when they were the overdogs. And so this one would be super special for UNC that you do all those things against your arch rival and you cap it with a national championship. And what Duke was hoping would be it's kind of the end of glory, and you take it from them. But I don't know. I think Kansas has been on such a brink of greatness. I think in 2020 they probably might have been a favorite had the tournament been played. So I don't know. I think they've got a lot of the right pieces to win it all now.
All right, let's touch on baseball before we close down our chat here. Arkansas wins 2 of 3 over the weekend and got outlasted, if you will, yesterday in 12 innings by Mississippi State. Some takeaways from you from the weekend when Arkansas picks up his 13th consecutive SEC Series victory.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't tear it up, and it's kind of been the case for them most of the year. That And some of their best hitters in this weekend, like Turner didn't have a great weekend, Moore didn't have a great weekend, Stovall didn't get a hit. And, I mean, if he hits a chopper, if he hits a sac fly, they win it in the 9th inning. And that's just the frustrating part, is you could have gotten all 3 and kept down a national champion, a rival in the SEC West. You keep them down and send them out of here so frustrated, and you don't quite get it done. I mean, and Brady Teigert's efforts alone with 3+ innings, he felt like, oh, man, don't squander that. He's shutting them out. Just push one run across. And, man, they had their chances. And to Peyton Stovall's credit, he laced that one in the 11th inning, and it just happened to be, a good catch at first, and they turned it into a double play. But
that was a tough play.
It's the at-bat in the ninth is just he went out of the zone a couple times, just over-aggressive. And at that point, if he takes those and he gets ahead 3-1, the odds of you winning the game right there are so much higher. So plate discipline, Brady Slavens kind of got back in the groove a little bit right at the end of that series, and maybe that bodes well for him. But they've got to have 4 or 5 guys hitting on the weekends. And right now, I mean, Lanzilli and just a few others have been the guys who've been carrying them on weekends. And, they haven't lost a series in conference in so long, but you feel like the law of averages might catch up in a road series, maybe Florida, where they're finally going to lose a series. But their pitching, their starting pitching has been good. I don't think the bullpen is much of an issue. I think they're throwing well, but they've just got to be more consistent hitting.
Yeah, UCA on Tuesday before they hit the road, and like you said, go to Gainesville, Florida for a Thursday start on this week's series. And at some point, you like you said, you feel like your number's up, but Florida feels like a team you can take, and Arkansas's playing like a top 5 team right now at least. Tom, good stuff, and we'll talk to you on Thursday about the game that will happen that night.
Will do. Take care, y'all. All
right, Tom Murphy with us every Monday and Thursday from the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette here on the Morning Rush.
Finally here, the top teams in college basketball have been determined, and the Final Four is set. Looking to wager on these games or the national championship? Head over to betonline.ag on your desktop or your mobile device and sign up today to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BLEAV to get started. That's BLEAV. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all your updated odds and info, along with player props and new contests throughout the year. It's the best source for all your sporting wagering needs, including live betting and everyone's favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's super easy to get started, so join today. Learn why everyone is saying BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.